and take our country back. It's time to wake up, America. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Delighted to have you here today. It's been absolutely fantastic so far, the new year. I hope it's been great for you as well. Have you been sticking to your New Year's resolutions? So far, mine have been going pretty good. We've been exercising, eating a little bit healthier. I've been reading every single day. And let me tell you, the thing that is going to really change my life, I feel like, is how much I'm going to learn from all of the books that I'm reading this year. I might share my book list with you a little bit later if you'd be interested, some of what I'm reading, but love to hear what you're reading this year, maybe what some of your New Year's resolutions are, and whether or not you've actually kept any of them yet so far. So far, Stephanie and I are pretty much on track. Things are going well. Nice to have you here today. Let's talk about what's happening today. Joe Biden wants to ban gas stoves? What the hell is this story? And of course, the internet got a hold of it, and there's lots of hilarity to enjoy. We're going to talk about that at 7:09. And I pulled up an article about the difference between gas stoves and electric stoves, and which are purportedly supposed to be better. We'll talk about that here in just a few minutes. And at 7:18 this morning, male pattern baldness may be linked to this popular food item. Yeah, it's one of my favorite foods as well, but not the kind of thing that I really need to be enjoying when I'm on my diet. And we'll talk about that this morning at 7:18. And at 7:30 this morning, former Missouri State Representative and U.S. Marine Corps veteran Paul Curtman joins me at 7:30 to talk about Joe Biden's classified document problems. Remember that raid on Mar-a-Lago to go after documents that were supposedly top secret classified documents that had been held by Donald Trump? Well, guess what? Joe Biden's got his own problems with classified documents that he was not supposed to have. Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about that, and I'll hear from Paul Curtman on his thoughts on the push to ban gas stoves at 7:30 this morning. At 8 o'clock, Judge Andrew Napolitano. I can't wait to talk to the judge this morning because it's, big brain time is the best. Don't we love the judge? Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to talk to the judge about separation of church and state. That's right, as more and more people on the right are advocating for a new form of what is known as integralism, integrating the church into the state. We'll hear from a Catholic libertarian about his thoughts on the push for breaking down the wall of separation between church and state. And I'll ask him as well about the push to defund the IRS. Yeah, Republicans are pushing for that. At 8:30 this morning, our lovely Danielle Pentsak from Turning Point USA will be joining us to talk about the M&Ms candies that celebrate women. Yes, all female M&Ms. I never realized when I was eating M&Ms that some of that they had a gender. I just melts in your mouth and not in your hand, I guess. You can send a text this morning to the show at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Alternatively, you can send us a super chat if you'd like to have your chat read on air over on YouTube at youtube.com/AP for Liberty. That's youtube.com/AP for Liberty. Support the channel. So far, things have been going well. I'll tell you just a brief little update before I start with the big news here today. I don't know how this will turn out. Maybe I shouldn't say this to jinx it. But I will say that I got contacted by an agency yesterday that I have a phone conversation with today, and we might be getting some more advertisers for the program. So fingers crossed. But it's a game changer, big game changer. When we get things like Lear Capital, when we get your super chats, when we get your monthly support levels, if we bring on even more advertisers onto the program, I just have to say that it seems as if the Wake Up America show is on a growth path that is sustainable. And think about it, running a daily podcast sustainably, being able to make an income, being able to support yourself and your family by doing what you love, a Liberty live stream Monday through Fridays. And by the way, Have you been checking out the new content that I've been producing, the shorts that I've been making, the Guns of the President shorts, and some of the other content that I've been making? If you've been missing some of these shorts that I've been producing, make sure that you check those out on my YouTube channel. I did one yesterday about guns that were owned by Calvin Coolidge, and one of the firearms that Calvin Coolidge owned, I was pretty shocked by. I think you would be as well. Make sure you check out that playlist over on YouTube. All right, let's talk about the news. Republicans in the House of Representatives will vote on a bill that would abolish the IRS. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is like,
how dare you?
And
no, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Meanwhile, when I read the news yesterday, I was like, oh God, so excited, and I'm dancing around. And I posted yesterday about how excited I was that the House will be voting on Georgia Republican Rep. Buddy Carter's reintroduced Fair Tax Act as well. So lovely.
Perfect.
The vote on the bill was made as part of the deal between House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and the members of the House Freedom Caucus, and it was pushed forward in his quest for the gavel last week. I gotta say, I mean, the conservative holdouts on voting for Speaker McCarthy really did a good job, and I feel like we owe them a big debt of gratitude. And here's what I have to say to all the libertarians who are out there saying things like, "Oh, well, the Republicans know they don't have the votes to pass this. The Republicans don't have the votes. They can't do it." Let me just ask you one question very briefly.
Why are you gay?
It is it is important. I don't care what you say, oh, it's performative, everything like that. It is important that Republicans take a stand on the issues that matter and show where our representatives stand on these issues. It's not performative to force your fellow representatives to take a stand and show their constituents where they really stand on the most important libertarian issue, the number one in my, it's not, no, this is not my opinion. Okay. Screw your, I can't say the F word just yet. I don't want to get demonetized. Screw your whole, oh, this is performative view and stuff like that. You don't understand how important it is that we show where people stand on the most important issue for libertarians. Abolishing the IRS is the most important issue. I don't, legalizing drugs, guns, all this kind of stuff. If the government can't take our cash, how in the hell are they going to take our guns? Right? If we impoverish the United States federal government by abolishing the income tax, by replacing it with nothing, by abolishing the IRS, right? In theory, right? Then what else can the government really do to us? Right. So it may not pass. They may not have the votes, right? For some congressional representatives, that might be performative, but for the voters in their districts who see where their Congress people stand, and for showing where the Republican Party is headed and what the Republican Party stands for, I say, yay. Aye, the ayes have it. The ayes have it. What say you about this one? Honestly, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Send me a text, 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. One listener texted in about the book recommendation. They said a book that they would recommend to anyone. Factfulness, 10 Reasons We're Wrong About the World and Why Things Are Better Than You Think. You know what? That sounds right up my alley. I love it. I am definitely going to check that out. I've got like a pile of books now to read. I ordered Michael Malice's book, The White Pill. I'm reading Michael Shermer's book, Conspiracy, which is it's going hard in the paint right away on the QAnon conspiracy stuff. It's so good. Brand new book by Michael Shermer. I'm only like 40 pages in, but I'm loving it so far. Elizabeth Fanning Press is texting in this morning. She says that she just realized she'd have been in Judge Knapp's class at Notre Dame, but they turned down her offer. Figures it's because she's an Episcopalian like our founders. Interesting. Quest was the one who recommended the book about 10 Reasons We're Wrong About the World. Thank you, Quest. We appreciate that. If you have a book recommendation, I'd love to hear it. You can send them in again at 573-319-1586. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, so I'll be reading Michael Malice's book this year. Oh, and there's another book that I still have yet to get. I was hoping somebody was going to get it for me for Christmas, but Ralph Macchio's book, My Life as a Karate Kid or whatever it is. Ralph Macchio's autobiography. Ralph Macchio and the Karate Kid are my guilty pleasure. You know how it is. I know.
Emotional damage.
Back to my childhood. One of my favorite movies of all time. All right. Let's see. Camellia is going to send me a book. Okay, love to read whatever you got there. All right, let's talk about this news of the day. I'm tired of beating up on libertarians for being such Debbie Downers about the fact that the Republicans are going to vote on abolishing the IRS. Wah, libertarians. Wah, wah, wah. Republicans are going to try and do something that you've been pushing for years. It's like when Donald Trump actually did libertarian stuff. And I'm like, wow, look at this. This is awesome. Trump is passing criminal justice reform, and the libertarians are like, I have just one question for you, libertarians who are never happy.
Why are you gay?
Moving on. Speaking of why are you gay? New York Congresswoman and environmentalist Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took heat, according to Fox News, on Twitter after she mocked Representative Ronnie Jackson of Texas for tweeting he would never give up his gas stove on Monday.
Perfect.
Now, Ocasio-Cortez wrote in a response to his tweet saying, "Did you know that ongoing exposure to NO2 from gas stoves is linked to reduced cognitive performance?" Oh, you must have had a gas stove in your house as a child then, AOC. Now, Jackson vowed that he would rather die than give up his gas stove. He says, "I'll never give up my gas stove from my cold, dead hands." He says, "If the maniacs in the White House come for my stove, they can pry it from my cold, dead hands. Come and take it." Yeah. Give it to him, Ronnie Jackson. Now, here's the thing. What's the point here? Why are they trying to do this one? So, why are they pushing to ban gas stoves? Well, they say that it's linked to cognitive performance, and if that's the case, um, I gotta say, let's say that that's true. It would explain a lot in the United States today. But Ocasio-Cortez is arguing that the proposal to ban gas stoves is perfectly reasonable. She says the way that we are handling it in NYC isn't to force people to switch what they already have. Folks can keep their appliances, and new buildings in NYC will have gas-free stoves. So that's the whole point. This is how they usher in. This is what they call it. I know this is going to infuriate you, but Democrats call this libertarian paternalism. Right? It's not that they force you to do something, it's that they give you no other choice, right? And they call it libertarian paternalism, right? It was the same with Obamacare, for example. It wasn't that you were forced to choose another doctor, it was that you had no choice but to choose a doctor through the approved system that they had created. Right? They call this libertarian paternalism. Look it up. It's the most Orwellian statement that you've ever heard. Sarah Palacios is chiming in this morning with a beautiful $5 donation. Thank you, Sarah. She says, "Good morning, all. For the love of liberty, hit the like button while AP is live. Crucial to boost it in the algorithm. Thank you, AP and Steffi, for the daily info and laughs." You are so welcome, Sarah Palacios. We love you so much. You are awesome. And if you're watching the stream this morning, all 30 of you, and you have not hit the like button on the stream just yet,
how dare you?
How dare you is all I got to say. What are you trying to do? Give me
Emotional damage.
You're just making me feel.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Come on,
no!
It's free. Hit that like button, subscribe,
No!
and get the notification bell. Hit that notification bell so that you can get notifications whenever we are live. Hit those super chats. Send them in. Send in that money so I can spread that liberty. I'm not ashamed to ask. Right? You can also sign up for that monthly support level here on YouTube. It's only $2.99. Our buddy Dave Martin did this morning. He joined the Freedom Ninja Army. That means he gets entered into the contest for the monthly prize drawings. You can get it too, just for $2.99 a month. You could win an awesome prize from the AP for Liberty shop. All right, when we get back, more bitching about AOC and gas stove bans before we get to Paul Curtman on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Glad to have you here. You can text the program today at 573-319-1586. From my cold, dead hands, it's the Stovetop Rebellion, or a Stove-pocalypse, or Stovegate. Joe Biden's proposal to ban gas stoves in new houses that are being built? Say it ain't so. Your stove is a heartbreaker. Text us again today at 573-319-1586. I see over in the chat you guys are saying, the Stream Elements bot, what's it doing? What is it all about? Why are there bots? It's a friendly bot. He lets us know whenever somebody sends a super chat. It does a little dancing coin at the bottom of the screen. Or if somebody subscribes to the channel, you get the little astronaut doing the salute. Or if somebody joins the Freedom Ninja Army, you'll see the karate kick, right? Or the Cantina crew, you get something like that as well, a little animation. It's a great way to keep track of what's going on and to kind of give you a little visual reward whenever you join the channel. We've got a bunch of people who are not subscribed to the channel, I can already see, because if you don't have a little Statue of Liberty or gold bars next to your name, then that means that you're not a channel member. How could you? How dare you? Well, you might be, subscribed over at wakeupamericashow.com/support. So it's all good. 38 people watching this morning. All right, let's talk about the difference between the gas stoves and the electric stoves. So I was not aware. I see our friend Maria, who I think is in the stove business, was chiming in about the gas stoves, saying that the study that supposedly is being used, the supposed science that's being used, is not actual science. She says, buy wood stoves for heating now because you can cook on them and because government hates you. I would love to buy a wood stove, but because the government hates me, I have to pay more in, well, I guess it's not really, it's actually a private market thing. The home insurance company wants to charge us more money if we use a a wood stove. So yeah, not so hot for us. Not so hot. All right, gas versus electric. So I pulled this up from consumerreports.org, right? When your stove or your range conks out, usually you're limited to replacing it with one that runs on the same fuel source. Apparently only about half the homes in the US have gas service available as an option, and then the other half mostly relies on electric. But this is what Consumer Reports is saying. I'm not sure if this is the science or the science, but they say Consumer Reports says as much as gas ranges are hyped in real estate listings, they don't necessarily deliver cooking performance that's significantly better than electric. Mad Mom Anon, who is chiming in this morning, is saying that a bunch of us are headed to the Capitol today to support the gold and silver as legal tender bill here in the state of Missouri. I want to give you a big shout out and a kudos. Absolutely a supporter of that bill and that legislation. Good for you, and have good luck knocking on doors today. So this is what Consumer Reports say. They say that there are good reasons to think twice before going with gas. And this is why I'm a little skeptical about this article, because they say, aside from contributing to climate change, recent studies have found that methane leaks associated with gas stoves and cooktops may pose health risks, particularly without adequate ventilation. Yeah, so I'm not saying that we should ban gas stoves, and maybe gas stoves are superior for certain purposes, but isn't it a better idea not to have potentially explosive gas running through your home for cooking purposes? I don't know. For all the cooks out there, the chefs, I'd love to hear your thoughts on using a gas stove versus an electric stove. They did these performance tests on Consumer Reports and found that when it comes to high heat, electric is faster for getting something hot by a pretty big margin. Of the 72 electric smooth top ranges, nearly half earned the rating of excellent. 38 models are very good. For gas, none earned the top rating of excellent, although nearly 50 of the 86 earn a rating of very good. So manufacturers of gas and electric ranges have been kind of in a race for years to maximize the output of their large burners, which you use, for example, to boil a big pot of water for pasta. Electric wins the race for heating quickly over gas. Now, in terms of low heat, right, for all the emphasis of getting something hot fast, a range's ability to maintain a low, steady simmer is arguably more important. Given enough time, any range is going to boil water, but there's no cure for a cooktop that has erratic simmering, which, is going to scorch your delicate sauces or melted chocolate in an instant. So electric ranges were again the winner from Consumer Reports. For electrics, slightly less than 2/3 earned the top rating of excellent. Not a single model earned a rating of fair or poor. For gas, about 3/4 of models earned either an excellent or very good rating in their tests. 12 of the 86 models earned a low rating of either fair or poor. Baking. Which bakes better? It's close, and gas narrowly gets the edge on this one. For gas ranges, a little more than 70% of all models earned either an excellent or a very good rating, and about a quarter earned a rating of good. Just one model earned a rating of fair, and none earned poor. For electric, 2/3 earned ratings of either excellent or very good, 30% of good, just 2% of fair, none were poor. But baking, when it came to baking, gas ranges had a minimal edge over electric. What are your thoughts on this one? I'd love to hear it. 573-319-1586. Broiling, some of the biggest performance differences they saw between gas and electric ranges involved the broiler. So you can assume that because, if you cook with a flame, that gas broilers are better, but, and this is according to Consumer Reports, they routinely underperformed compared with their electric counterparts. Again, this is from Consumer Reports, so I'm not saying that this is science. It might be the science. Anyways, let's hear from Paul Curtman about this push to ban gas stoves. I'm going to go get him on the line. And we'll talk to him about that, as well as the push to abolish the IRS and Joe Biden's classified document mess on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great! Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. All right, well, gas bans, IRS audits, defunding the IRS, abolishing the IRS. What's happening in Washington, D.C. these days? It just seems crazier than usual. Let's talk to a man who's always got a bit of an insider angle on things. He's former Missouri State Representative Paul Curtman. He's also a veteran of the United States Marine Corps, and he's joining us now from his van. Good morning, Paul. Happy New Year, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Austin. Happy New Year to you, too. Yeah, I'm in my van this morning. I needed to get a little peace and quiet. I got 4 kids under the age of 7, so it gets a little loud in the morning.
So glad to have you here, Paul, even if it's from your van down by the river.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you something, Paul? A lot of people are accusing House Republicans of being performative in pushing for this vote to abolish the IRS and get rid of the income tax. A lot of our, Liberty friends online are like, oh, well, they don't have the votes to do this. It's a waste of time and stuff like that. I totally disagree with them. I think it's good to get these people on the record. What's your take on this push for a vote that I say may not pass, but it's like, people who say that it can't be done should not get in the way of those doing it, I say.
No, I think you're absolutely right. What we need to do is we need to get a lot of these congressmen and women on the record. And the fact that we can actually move the bill to the point where they'll actually vote on it, that in and of itself is a huge win. Because a lot of these bills just die in committee. A lot of these bills are just get a lot of talk, a lot of fluff. A lot of people want to talk about it back in the district, but they never go anywhere. But what this proves that the Congress can, if they want to, actually move one of these bills to a vote. So that in and of itself is a pretty good victory. Now getting these folks on the record so we know who to target, who to talk to, who to win over. That's the next leg in a battle like this. So it's certainly not something that's going to get done right away, I don't think. If it doesn't pass the first time around, that's fine. I've introduced several pieces of legislation in Jefferson City that didn't go anywhere for years. In fact, I worked on a piece of legislation to legalize industrial hemp in the state of Missouri. It took me 4 years. And on my way out the door, after the legislature had already ended for the year and I was term limited out, the governor signed the bill. So sometimes these battles take a long time, but getting it to the point of a vote it's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, no kidding. If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to former Missouri State Representative Paul Curtman. Paul, what was your take on this push by the Biden administration to ban gas stoves? More nanny state?
Yeah, it's more nanny state. This is right out of the AOC playbook. In fact, it's just as ridiculous and just as much of a fantasy as everything you can read about in the Green New Deal. What it would take to ban gas stoves would be completely ruin the United States of America, make us a target for every industry around the world, headquartered in every part around the world, military-wise, make us a bigger target there, make us much more weak and vulnerable. It's not going to happen, and they can't even figure out what they want to ban. Just a few years ago, they were trying to ban wood-burning stoves. They were trying to ban wood-burning stoves, and now they're coming back trying to ban gas stoves. It's just part of the whole green agenda. My guess is that this has much less of a chance to pass than anything the Republicans are doing where the IRS is concerned. But nevertheless, the IRS, or not the IRS, but the left is going to use this to kind of identify their base and really hone in on who the radicals are that they can count on for follow-on campaigns.
Paul, it was reported yesterday that Joe Biden's in a little bit of a trouble when it comes to his handling of classified documents. Do you think that we'll see a raid of his beachfront house in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, anytime soon, like they did on Mar-a-Lago?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that. I also, we've watched the media completely turn into nothing more than a mouthpiece for the left. And yesterday I heard a clip where one of Biden's spokespeople was saying, listen, he's working with the National Archives. He's cooperating with them. And I'm thinking to myself, we literally heard those exact same words, that exact same phrasing and quote when this was Trump. And now it turns out that we knew that Merrick Garland knew about Biden's problem, but he still chose a special prosecutor to go after Trump. This highlights the hypocrisy of the Biden administration. But no, I don't think we're going to see any raiding of the beachfront property for President Biden. On a kind of a side note, but related to beachfront property, I would like to know who the billionaire donor was that Biden was spending his Christmas vacation with when they flew a $1.7 trillion spending bill to a donor's property on the beach for it to be signed by the president. Tell you what, people need to start asking that question.
I'd love to hear the answer to that one. What are your thoughts? Send us a text at 573-319-1586. One of our listeners over on Twitch, whose name I can't say out loud because it's pretty gross, but it was popping up in the live chat, says that Rehoboth Beach is a nice beach to go to, by the way. Yeah, it is the nicest beach in Delaware. I understand why Joe Biden's been there. I've been there a couple of times myself. It's very elite, very muckety-muck type of private beach stuff. You can text the show again, 573-319-1586. We'd love to hear from you on any of our social media platforms or through text message. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon so that you get notifications when we're going live. Paul, I know that you're now in the radio business, right? You're a broadcaster in the media, and you offer your opinions on things as part of your daily job here. I'd love to hear your opinion on the new President Trump 2024 presidential campaign. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump running for president again?
Look, I like Donald Trump. I think that when he ran in 2016, he was exactly who this country needed. I think that he can still do a lot of good. If he wound up being our presidential nominee, I would 100% be voting for him. Personally, I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards the DeSantis camp. I think that they share a lot of similar attributes, but DeSantis doesn't quite have, and call it what you will, Trump has a lot of baggage now. And it's because of his first 4 years. And I would like to see somebody who's able to pick up the torch where he left it off. I mean, listen, he got the fire started and it is burning and raging. Now we need somebody who can go in and continue to keep that fire burning and help us take our country back where we want it to be. But I think everybody understands that if Trump is the nominee, we're going to have a government that is just going to do nothing but go after him for the next 4 years. And as a conservative, as a libertarian, what I want to do is I'm not just interested in fighting, I'm interested in winning. And so I want to see the needle start to move in the direction of securing my freedom. I'm not just in this, for the rallies and the anger and the frustration. I'm in this because I want my kids to live free. And I want to be free as a businessman, and as an American. And so having somebody that can help move the needle forward, we already have now seen how corrupt everything is. We kind of need somebody like a fixer to kind of go in now that the dirty work has been done by Donald Trump. And he did a work that needed to be done, no doubt about it. But I'm probably a little bit more in the DeSantis camp. But if Trump's the nominee, I'm there 100%.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to former Missouri State Representative Paul Curtman. Paul, on the DeSantis question, what's your opinion on DeSantis's war against Disney and taking away their private property rights, their ability to run their own fire departments, security, and their private road system in Florida?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And this is kind of where the policy gets a little bit mucky because we're letting them the state of Florida is letting them do their own thing. And I'm totally fine with that. People want to have their own business. They want to have their own fire departments, have their own roads and streets. But I mean, do they really have their own? they have gotten so many tax subsidies from the people of Florida to do what? To run their own fire department, to run everything them on their own. Hey, listen, if Governor DeSantis, and I don't know all the policy that he's introducing and what that war entirely looks like, but if he's wanting to take away the tax subsidies, if he's wanting to take away the bailouts and all the handouts for Disney, I'm 100% for that. But if they want those things, well, then this is just the way government works. If you want things from the government, there will be strings attached, whether you like it or not. We see this from the federal level down to the state level all the time. So if Disney is actually trying to undermine parents, for example, this is where a lot of the conversation is coming from. If they're trying to undermine parents, if they're trying to undermine parents in the schools by trying to influence lobbyists to not vote on certain bills or introduce lawmakers to not vote for certain bills, well, what might be on the hook for that is you might lose a lot of your giveaways and your tax subsidies and your government handouts. And that is just par for the course in politics. You know, if you want to keep getting that stuff from the government, then the government's going to tell you what to do.
I was asking a woman yesterday on my program about the whole drag queen story hour question. You know, we had a couple of instances here in the state of Missouri where they had drag shows where they were specifically inviting underage children to these drag shows, and I think one was supposed to happen out in Chesterfield, and there was a major backlash against it, and so then there was a push to raise the age. But in Kansas City, the police actually stepped in and protected the drag queen story hour so that minors, people under the age of 18, would be allowed in. And that's the sort of approach that you might see in an area where you allow localities to make these kinds of decisions. But I mean, it would seem to me to be immoral and possibly should be illegal to allow that kind of activity to happen. So I guess my question for you is it better that we allow the localities in the state of Missouri to make those kinds of determinations? Or would it be better if the Missouri state legislature were to step in and make it so that it's a statewide rule that you have to be 18 or older to get into a drag show here in the state of Missouri?
You know, the state government in Missouri absolutely has that constitutional authority to do that if they want to, because all the cities in the state are political subdivisions under the Missouri Constitution. And so if the legislature wants to do that, they certainly can. But on the flip side, I'm also for localities being able to do this because I think that the government that governs best governs closest to the people. And listen, if the people want this, the people are going to get the government that they deserve. But the problem that we've had in Missouri is we've gotten the government that we probably don't really deserve. But, you know, we have a constitutional amendment process where 51% of the people can actually change the Constitution, which I think is a problem. I think that if we're going to have a constitution, more people should have buy-in to what actually constitutes the rule of law at the constitutional level. So I think this is an area for really, really good debate and discussion. But I also think it's important that people understand that when you're talking about these types of activities that are highly, highly sexual in nature, and we protect children who are under the age of consent, it's always been this way. We protect them from any type of sexually explicit material, because when you're under the age of consent, there are things that you don't understand that you would understand if you were an adult. And so that's where the conversation needs to start, for sure.
Okay, one last question for you before I let you go. This is going to be a tough one because, populists and national conservatives are blaming libertarians for everything these days, including the drag queen story hours. But, the fall of civilization, it's all the fault of those libertarians who have always had power who have had power for so long. Libertarians have been in charge. Whether it was immigration or drag queen story hours, libertarians have had their way, I guess. But on the drag queen story hour, this is something that I struggle with, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one as a more liberty-minded Republican. If you have a public library, obviously libertarians don't believe in public libraries. However, let's say we have a public library and it's funded by the public, and they want to have a drag queen story hour, and this drag queen is fully dressed, is not behaving inappropriately, is not, saying anything explicit, is just a man in a dress reading Dr. Seuss to parents who voluntarily bring their kids to that public library. Should that be a crime?
Well, let's get back to the parameters of libertarianism. I don't believe You can be a libertarian without really understanding what that means at a very deeply philosophical level. And that absolutely requires a conversation on natural law. And now this is where a lot of libertarians are going to struggle, because natural law, right? And this gets into all the transgender gay rights issue. According to natural law, it requires both a male and a female to have a baby. So here's another question for you. Should libertarians, if they believe in natural law and protecting natural rights, should they be for homosexual men being allowed to adopt a little baby? And I've heard two different arguments on this. And this is kind of pointing back to where you're going. People would say, well, every child deserves to be loved, but does not a child also deserve both a female and father role model, because that's how they came into this world? Do they deserve that according to the parameters of natural law? So what I would say is, if we're going to have a man in a dress, that's going to cause a lot more confusion for young children. And I'm just not for it. I mean, I'm a libertarian, but I am not for it. My kids will never go to anything like that, anything even remotely like that. And my tax dollars, I don't want my tax dollars going out there to push this type of confusion, because what's that going to lead to? We've already seen that also leads to people calling for tax dollars to help young children castrate themselves, or have any other type of biological permanent changes to their body. And so you have to also put into context the consequences of the things that we're for. I'm for liberty, but George Washington said it himself. He said, and love it or hate it, he said, religion and morality are indispensable supports and pillars of our freedom. We can either police ourselves, or we're going to have the government police us. And you cannot exclude some parameters of morality within the context of natural law from the proper role of government.
I think that this would definitely merit a longer discussion. I mean, just to rebut it very briefly, I would say the problem with, the whole natural argument is simply that, just because something is natural doesn't mean it's good. Cyanide and arsenic are both naturally occurring poisons. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily good. And I would argue that, growing up in an orphanage and growing up with no parents is definitely worse than growing up with two gay men. But it's a social experiment, and there's only going to be one way for us to be able to determine that, and that's going to be the experimentation that goes on over time. I think I side with you in a certain way, but then in another way, I guess I'd love to debate it even longer, but I don't have time, and I know that you've got a whole family to take care of and a lot of work to do. Paul, you've been very generous with your time this morning. Thank you for sharing your opinions. Do you want to share with our listeners, before we let you go, how they can listen to you and tune into your show?
Sure thing. I'm on News Talk STL every Saturday from 12 noon to 1 p.m. They can listen at newstalkstl.com or 1019-94.1 if they're in the St. Louis region.
There it is. Paul Curtman, former Missouri State Representative, radio broadcaster, and freedom fighter. Thank you for your time today, Paul, and have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Austin.
Thank you very much. What did you think of Paul Curtman? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. We got lots more great stuff to go. Judge Napolitano's coming up here at 8 o'clock. We're going to talk to him about church and state. And then our lovely friend Danielle Pentsak is going to join us at 8:35 to talk about all-female M&Ms. Aren't you glad that your M&Ms are one gender? I miss non-gendered. Non-binary M&Ms. We can talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian. And
always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
All right, everybody, it's time to put on your dancing shoes and boogie woogie woogie with AP and Lear Capital. Yes, that's right. I've sold my soul to a corporate sponsor. Every libertarian's dream to have a gold and silver company sponsoring him, selling gold and silver coins to libertarians. Yes, that's right. And if I can't sell gold and silver coins to libertarians, I tell you, what kind of a salesman would I be? Now, let me tell you why it's important for you to get a free information packet from our friends over at Lear Capital. One, the economy sucks and it's getting worse. And gold and silver is a great way to hedge your bets against future inflation. Because despite the fact that the House of Representatives is going to vote to try and abolish the IRS, you know they're going to spend more money. They'll cut taxes, but they'll increase spending. And how are you going to finance that? Well, they're going to inflate the money supply. And how can you guard yourself against that? Well, you can get gold and silver. You can even convert a portion of your retirement into a gold IRA. Yeah, physical gold can hold in your Roth IRA. Now, let's do a little dance and type in over on our browser, LEARAUSTIN. That's right. learaustin.com. That's learaustin.com. Get your free informational packet from our friends at Lear Capital because they're awesome. Awesome Austin. Do you love gold? I love gold. Do you love silver? I love silver. Then call 1-800-885-2175 today or visit learaustin.com. Sign up for a free informational packet. No obligation to buy. Just go to learaustin.com. All right, we've got to go get Judge Napolitano. Promise you I won't take long. I'm going to go get the judge on the line. We're going to talk to him about the separation of church and state. Bye, Stephanie, my lovely wife. 43 people watching today. Make sure you like the stream. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification icon. I'm going to go get Judge Napolitano on the line, and I'll probably cut the commercials a little bit short. So I'll be back soon so that we don't lose our humongous audience today. Nice to see you. I'll be back with more on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Hello, my name is Kelvin. Welcome to Frenchy Bush. This is my Didi's website. Now I've decided to speak to you with my real voice for the first time ever to tell you about how cool Frenchy Bush is. But I've decided that this is the perfect opportunity to share with you. Frenchy Bush is a good website. You should follow us on socials. If you like Frenchies or any kind of bulldogs, me and my new brother George are going to try to make your life more fun.
Hello, I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides.
Didi made Frenchy bullshit to review things that he uses on me and my brother to tell you if it's good or bullshit. Take this collar, for example. Didi really likes it. Didi said it's really handy because us Frenchies got thick necks. Need something really tough. People think Frenchies are little, but if you look at us from below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchy Bush. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchy Bush blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
any real-world experience,
it's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water. to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Thanks so much for sticking around through the commercial break. If you're one of the people who's watching us live right now, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and hit the bell notification icon so you can get notifications when we go live. And of course, we go live every Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central Time. We like to keep a tight schedule here. And on our schedule, every Wednesday is our favorite guest. He is my inspiration, one of the greatest voices for liberty in the world right now. He's the host of the Judging Freedom podcast, which you can download on any of your mobile devices, and read his weekly column, which we'll be discussing today at judgenap.com. He's the man, the myth, the legend, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Good morning, Judge. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, Austin. It's nice to be with you. If I'm a myth, I'm a self-made myth.
Well, you're a self-made man, Judge. You're like me. You weren't the product of nepotism or cronyism. You were a man who, earned your place on the bench, and you're a man who earned your place in the media, and you're a man who's earned your place in the hearts of many people who are inspired by you and who have read your books. People like myself who would not be here today if it weren't for people like you, Judge. So we appreciate your inspiration, and we're glad to have you be able to share it with us every week on the show.
It's a very happy time for me to be with you.
Judge, can I ask you your thoughts on the push for the abolishment of the IRS by the House of Representatives? Because many of our libertarian friends are like, they don't have the votes, it's performative, they're sort of poo-pooing on it, but this kind of thing excites me because it shows that there are many in the Republican Party who agree with people like yourself and myself. And it shows that we're putting these people on the record where they actually stand. I mean, do you see this as performative, or do you see this as a sign of hope?
Well, I actually see it as both. The reason I see it as performative is because the very same Republicans who are voting to abolish the IRS have repeatedly voted to expand the size of government and to increase taxes. Now that they know their votes will mean nothing because it'll never pass in the House, they'll tell everybody they're against the IRS. On a theoretical perspective, in my view, taxation is theft, and the IRS is the agency that steals from us. The government should exist, if at all, by performing services and charging for its services. It has no more right to take your property or mine than you have to take my property or I have to take yours. So should it be abolished? Yes. Now, politically, voting for something like this sometimes can start a movement, and you don't know where the movement is going to end. I'll give you an example. When I first said that the FBI should be abolished, people thought I was crazy. Now it's something that is discussed every day in a serious way on Capitol Hill. So Republicans saying the IRS should be abolished, the Democrats will say, well, how are we going to turn the lights on? 15 years from now, 5 years from now, it may be a more broadly accepted idea. So I commend them for doing it, but there's always a little bit of shenanigans in there. Politicians love to cast votes that they know will have no consequence. which allows them boasting rights with the folks back home, but they don't have to face the consequences of their votes. So if we abolish the IRS, we'd have to abolish 2/3 of the government. Yes, it would be a great thing to do. These Republicans would not be prepared to do that. You and I would, but they wouldn't be.
It still gets
Does
me
that make
excited.
sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah, I just get excited when I see things like this because it makes me believe that at least Republicans know what is a proper Republican platform, right? It would seem to me that, abolishing the IRS would be a very extreme thing to do for most Republicans. But the fact that they desire to even bring this to the floor for a vote shows that there is an understanding that this is an ideological part of the Republican Party, which I think, it just takes a small spark to start the brush fires. And so I hope
Yes.
that this could mean something good for the future. Judge, Donald Trump was raided in his home in Mar-a-Lago for the secret classified documents that he held. Any chance that Joe Biden's Rehoboth Beach compound will be raided for the classified documents that he held in the similar manner as to Donald Trump?
Well, I doubt it. I mean, when Trump's home was raided, he was not the sitting president of the United States. And if you recall the probable cause affidavit, which was submitted to the federal judge who signed the search warrant, it was based upon Trump's and his lawyers' persistent refusal to comply with a subpoena for documents that they knew Trump had. We also know that they had testimony from Trump employees that the president had directed them to move documents about and to hide them around the compound. So there's a significant difference between the Trump situation and the Biden situation. Having said that, Biden had no more right to have classified materials at his private office after he was vice president and before he was president than Trump had to take those things from the White House and hold them at Mar-a-Lago. I think Merrick Garland has done exactly the right thing. He appointed a U.S. attorney, and he appointed someone that Donald Trump appointed to his job to investigate this. We'll see where it goes. I don't think it will affect the prosecution of Donald Trump at all. It may affect the political metrics. It gives the Republicans something to complain about and to attempt to investigate. But I don't think it will affect the prosecutions of Donald Trump at all. In fact, I expect him to be indicted very soon. I think the first indictment will be by a Fulton County grand jury in Atlanta, Georgia, for attempting to undo a lawful election, which involves things like lying under oath and falsifying documents. Then there will come two indictments, one for Mar-a-Lago and one for January 6th. The last two will be federal. The Fulton County one is the state of Georgia, over which Merrick Garland has no control whatsoever.
If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show, I'm speaking to Judge Andrew Napolitano. He's the host of the Judging Freedom podcast. Judge, speaking of having hope and light at the end of the tunnel, maybe it's, because I'm young and I'm just optimistic and bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, but when I see things like the ATF rule being overturned in regards to bump stocks, I say to myself, history on a long enough curve bends towards freedom. This is a wonderful thing, and I think that it shows that our Constitution in some ways and our constitutional government in some ways sometimes does still operate as it is supposed to. Is that correct?
Yes. I have often argued that the worst president after Abraham Lincoln was Woodrow Wilson, worst being defined as least faithful to the Constitution and most destructive of personal liberty. Wilson, the former governor of New Jersey, the former president of Princeton, the former constitutional law, though not a lawyer, scholar at Princeton University, had this idea when he was president of a government by experts, a permanent body of people with expertise who would write rules and regulations that Congress wouldn't have to answer for. And he gave us the administrative state, which today we know as the FDA, the EPA, the DEA, the BATF. BATF, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, in the Trump administration, wrote regulations that declared the modification of a rifle via a bump stock, which allows you to pull the trigger and emit several rounds with one trigger pull. They said, well, that's a machine gun, and machine guns have been outlawed since 1934, and therefore we're outlawing all bump stocks. Well, guess what? 10 federal judges sitting en banc, meaning the whole court, at the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit in New Orleans, which covers appeals from federal judges in Texas and Louisiana, said, no, you're not the Congress. You can't write rules. If Congress wants to declare bump stocks to be machine guns, that's another story. We'll address it at that time. But you're a bunch of bureaucrats. You don't answer to the public. You can't write rules that change the law. Prior to this decision, there has been a doctrine called the Chevron doctrine. It's named after a case involving Chevron, the oil company. And the Chevron doctrine says that the courts should give deference to administrative agencies like EPA and DEA and BATF and FBI when they write their own rules and interpret their own rules, because after all, channeling Woodrow Wilson, they're experts. Well, guess what? The Chevron doctrine is about to die, and the government should get no special deference when it writes rules. In fact, it should be presumed to be unconstitutional, immoral, unlawful, because every one of these rules interferes with human freedom, and freedom is a natural birthright. And so whenever the government interferes with freedom, it should be presumed wrong, and it should have to justify that interference. There could be no such thing as a presumption that the interference is proper. All of that came down in an opinion last week, which wasn't even on the front page of the New York Times and the Washington Post, because they hate it. They would prefer a Wilsonian government by experts than a Madisonian government by elected representatives.
God, you love that kind of talk. I love it when you talk like that, Judge.
Does anybody else say this stuff besides you and me?
I don't think so, Judge. We're the last stand here, it seems. Judge, I'd like to switch topics with you, something that I sent you yesterday. This is why people really do tune into this show, especially when you're on to discuss these big brain topics. This new movement on the right, these neo-populists, many of them call themselves neo-integralists. Integralists. They are, like you, Roman Catholics, many of them even pre-Vatican II. But they differ from you, Judge, in that many of these neo-integralists argue that the United States government would be far better off if we were to break down the separation between your religion and the state. Now, as a God-fearing Catholic yourself, do you believe that the United States government would be better off if it was more tightly aligned with your particular religion?
This is an argument of fascists, and it's a species of fascism without the economic part, which is private ownership but government control. The idea that the government would get into our brains and say, this is the official religion of which we approve. In this case, it happens to be the religion to which I adhere. But I condemn this monstrosity of trying to join church and state. This violates fundamental freedom of conscience. This would cause the United States government, like in Germany or France, there are 40,000 Catholic churches in France. 2/3 of them are empty and closed. Why are there 40,000? Because the French taxpayers paid for them. The same thing is the case in Germany, though I don't know what the numbers are there. A church should rise or fall on the basis of the generosity of its adherents, not on the basis of the government to steal money from people and give it to a sectarian entity. This would be, of course, a violation of the First Amendment, and it would be a disaster. The next thing you know, they'll want to bring back the Inquisition.
Well, I'm definitely going to clip that and post that later today for sure, Judge. But here's the thing. There seems to be an anxiety on the part of religious people, especially those who are politically aligned, especially of those who are on the right. It seems to be an anxiety that with the increasing secularization of society, that the loss of morality associated with religion would mean the loss of freedom. In speaking yesterday to an author at the National Review, she argued that libertarians and social conservatives need one another because social conservatives provide the types of institutions like family and marriage and others that contribute to freedoms. And it's the freedoms that are needed that libertarians advocate for that provide for the best environment for social conservatives and their values to thrive and to succeed. Would you agree with that, Judge? Would you agree with that assessment that libertarians need the voluntary institutions of church and family in order to be able to thrive, or can we exist in a society where everybody's a rock star and does cocaine and lives has a lifestyle that doesn't contribute to a more traditional worldview?
Well, I live a lifestyle that contributes to a more traditional worldview because that's where my mores take me. And my acceptance of basic Judeo-Christian morality, what you and I call first principles, also embraces freedom of conscience. I don't know that a lot of social conservatives believe in freedom of conscience. I condemn, for example, mutilating a body to change its gender. But you own your own body. And if you're a mature adult, you can do, by mature, I mean if you're over 21 or over 18, whatever the age is these days, you can do to your own body whatever you want. Social conservatives, of course, would not only make that unlawful, they would make it unlawful for physicians to provide assistance to people who are undergoing that kind of change. So we are miles apart when it comes to human freedom. Is the family the bedrock of Western civilization? It absolutely is. Is Judeo-Christian morality the bedrock of law? It absolutely ought to be. Is freedom of conscience necessary to achieve happiness, to discover truth? It absolutely is. I don't know that our conservative social conservative friends, and we are friends with them, would agree with that last statement about freedom of conscience. Certainly the integralists, this group that wants Catholicism, but you talk about getting rid of the IRS as being fanciful. They are really off the wall if they think Catholicism is going to become the state religion of the United States. But this group that wants Catholicism to become the state religion of the United States obviously does not believe in freedom of conscience. And they do not believe in the Catholic Church's teaching on freedom of conscience.
Yeah, man, this is somebody over in the comments says this is liberty porn in the mornings for sure. We are definitely getting into topics that not a lot of people ever breach. One last question for you on this one, Judge, on this topic. This is something that I've been struggling with in my own mind and my philosophical understandings, and I hope that maybe you can help clarify these muddied waters that I'm looking at through a glass darkly, if you will. Uh, in looking at the current situation in Ukraine, many conservative commentators are arguing that the crackdown by the Ukrainian government on the Eastern Orthodox Church, the Church of Russia, which is very closely aligned to Vladimir Putin, that they are arguing that Zelensky is cracking down on freedom of religion by banning this religion from the country while they're in conflict with Russia. In some ways, I agree with them, right? We want to have freedom of religion. But then in other ways, in countries where you don't have freedom of religion, so for example, if you had a country where there was an official state religion, for example, is it am I logically correct in saying that in that situation, the church is as much an agent of the state as an agent, as the president or a pope, a president or a potentate or someone who, would be a prime minister. If you don't have a freedom of religion in a country, then, by banning a religion, which, goes against, my sort of libertarian instincts, it seems wrong. But then if you're talking about a religion that is a branch of the state, are not the popes and are not the priests, are they not, of equal playing on a level playing field as the agents of the state? And should they not be treated by libertarians as such, in such a way, meaning that, if you're acting against them or seeking to overthrow that church or that religion, it would be the same as if you were seeking to overthrow a corrupt government, a tyrannical government. So, the
Right.
people who practice that religion would say
So to
you're cracking down on freedom of religion. But then people like myself would say, well, they're the same as any other government official.
well, the argument's an interesting argument. The Zelensky argument, I suppose, is Catholic Orthodox, and they are Catholic. They are in communion with Rome. Meaning, if I went to Mass at a Russian Orthodox church and received the Blessed Sacrament, it's the same Blessed Sacrament that I receive when I go to Mass at a Roman Catholic church in New Jersey. They may not accept everything that the Pope says. I don't accept everything that the Pope says. Remember those two one-liners, does a bear poop in the woods? Is the Pope Catholic? Those things are not answered yes anymore. But for Zelensky, I suppose he's arguing that Russian Orthodox priests are agents of the Russian state, and the Russian state is invading us and at war with us. Therefore, we're going to suppress the religion. That's a very close call, because there are aspects of the priesthood that have nothing whatsoever to do with the Russian state. And as far as I know, the Russian state does not financially support the Orthodox churches outside of Russia. It is a very, very dangerous path for the government to suppress any religion. It is almost inconceivable that a member of the Jewish people, President Zelensky, would spearhead something like this in light of the horrific examples of what happened to the Jewish people not too long ago and not too far from where he is now. So I condemn government interference with conscience, period. Whether your conscience tells you to worship Jesus Christ or worship a telephone pole, it's your conscience, and the government has no right to interfere with it. The government also has no right to take your money and to decide which group of conscientious people are going to receive it, whether it's Roman Catholic or whether it's tree huggers.
Gosh, man, I would love to go in on this for about another hour, Judge, but I know we've got to go. And these conversations are just absolutely thrilling, and we're so grateful for your time. We know you've got your own show, the Judging Freedom Podcast. Judge, would you like to tell our listeners who you've got coming up in terms of your guests?
Oh, at 2:30 this afternoon Eastern, I have Phil Giraldi. Phil Giraldi is, of course, the lifelong CIA agent who, when he told George W. Bush that Saddam Hussein did not have weapons of mass destruction, and he was in the CIA at the time, Bush threw him out of the Oval Office and lied to the American public anyway, and Giraldi resigned. I'm going to ask him point blank, all those demonstrations in favor of former President Jair Bolsonaro in Brasilia this past weekend, the ones that trashed the Supreme Court and trashed the parliament, was the CIA behind it?
Ooh, good
That's
stuff.
what he's going to address. That's what he's going to address at 2:30 today. A renegade CIA agent who loves to expose his former colleagues on my podcast, Judging Freedom, 2:30 Eastern this afternoon.
Don't want to miss that. Judge Andrew Napolitano, host of the Judging Freedom Show, and our good friend every Wednesday here on the show. Judge, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Austin. All the best.
Thank you very much. What did you think of the judge? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. You don't have those conversations anywhere else, literally nowhere else. That's why you keep coming back, right? I know that it's very, very pie in the sky, big brain stuff, but you know what? It's my show, and I've always wanted to have these discussions and debates in public, and now I finally get to do it. I hope that you like it and that you support it. All right, when we get back, did you know that your M&Ms are all females now? I shall spit you out of my mouth. We shall talk about that with Danielle Pentsak when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Hey there, it's your favorite Vice President Joe Biden. I wanted to talk to you today about the Wake Up America show, the best source for all your political news and commentary. But before I get started, let me just make sure I have all my notes in order. Okay, where was I? All right, the Wake Up America show. It's a great way to stay informed and make your voice heard. Boy, what was I saying again? Oh, right. The Wake Up America show. It's important that we all stay engaged and knowledgeable about what's going on in our country and, the thing. But hold on, where was I going with all this? Oh, yeah. The Wake Up America show. It's a fantastic resource. And if you really want to make a difference, man, you can sign up to be a monthly donor at wakeupAmericaShow.com/support. Now, where was I? Oh, that's right, the Wake Up America show. So if you want to stay woke and support a great cause, head on over to wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and sign up to be a monthly donor today. And if you're feeling generous, you can even give a donation in my name. Thanks for listening, and keep on keeping on, America. Come on, man.
Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mom, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great. Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise in Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Let's give a round of applause to our friend Elizabeth Fanning Price for that super chat. Appreciate you very much. See the little bouncing coins there at the very bottom? Isn't that fun? It's just like playing a little video game. Put some coins in, get to see a little animation pop up on the screen, right? Well, thank you very much for your support. Because of people like you, this channel has been growing by leaps and bounds. It's very exciting. As a matter of fact, I was just talking about it with my next guest, Danielle Pentsak. She's a field coordinator at Turning Point USA, and she's joining us again for her, I believe this is her fourth appearance on the show. Danielle, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yes, Mars Incorporated, the company behind M&Ms, has finally answered the question to what is a woman, and by doing this, they have featured an all-female cast on their new M&M packaging, including a new female purple character that is supposed to represent body positivity somehow. So I guess she's slightly larger than the other M&Ms, but I gotta say that
wait. So is the peanut M&Ms, is that like is it just
they're the
go ahead.
The ones with the peanuts are probably the trans M&Ms, frankly. But you know, as a woman myself, I gotta say that when I found out about this campaign, you know, I wept for several hours with my mom, in fact, because finally, you know, we're being represented where it matters most, and that is candy packaging. Truly an area where female representation is not being done, and we're quite disadvantaged there. But in all seriousness, what this marketing campaign is, I believe, is that this is Mars's attempt to distract consumers from the fact that they have been part of an ongoing legal process for quite some time now for violating child slavery laws in foreign countries, which is Mali in this case, in their cocoa harvesting process. And this progressive messaging is nothing new for the company. I'm sure a lot of us remember the green M&M discourse that happened last year. It was large enough to get into Tucker Carlson, where they had their green M&M character transition from go-go boots to sneakers, and that sparked quite enough outrage to distract us from the legal proceedings that were going on at the same time that marketing campaign was launched. And I have no doubt that this one that's happening right now is no different. And I think when it comes down to it, consumers need to be aware of the fact that these large corporations, they care nothing about their bottom line. And in this case for Mars Incorporated, I think they're just trying to distract us from their reputation, which is frankly down the drain right now legally.
Wow, that's some great analysis there from our friend Danielle Pentsak, who's joining us now. She's a field coordinator for Turning Point USA. Who's joining us on the program to talk about M&Ms announcing that all of their M&Ms will be female M&Ms in this new progressive packaging policy that they're advancing. So you say that it's about distracting from their very anti-progressive policies in their cocoa harvesting in Mali. But can I ask you, closer to home here? I mean, isn't it kind of insulting that you have them sort of pandering to women with this without actually doing anything to advance female causes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. First of all, their pandering is obviously quite superficial. I mean, it's really strange that what makes those M&Ms female is that the fact that they just wearing makeup and they have extra long eyelashes. You know, and obviously, as far as their marketing goes for empowering females, they're as far as Mars Incorporated goes, they are disadvantaging and disempowering young girls in foreign countries. So, you know, I think that this kind of marketing probably is just a way for them to compensate for the fact that they suck at what they do really, by empowering people. So, yeah.
I love that you say that with such a deadpan. Daniela, the movement on the left is obviously hypocritical in terms of, advocating for one thing and advancing, a set of ideas while, what essentially constitutes virtue signaling to a large degree. Can I ask you personally, I mean, how did you sort of come to these conclusions and realizations yourself? I mean, had you always been somewhat more of a conservative or right leaning on things like this, or because it's very it's not very typical to find young people like yourself who have the types of policies that you tend to favor.
Yeah, well, I've always been a leading conservative, at least that's how I was raised. And I think that when it comes to things like campaign marketing and like this type of progressive marketing, I think for the most part, I think the average American can see past it and can see through it. We're not really this like marketing and promoting these progressive policies or progressive agendas is nothing new when it comes to American corporatism. We see it, like I mentioned last week, every June. And I think people on both sides of the aisle, whether that be the right or the left, we kind of can see past that, and that this is just large corporations and their attempt at getting the bottom line, the dollar from the consumer, which is and I gotta say, I'm not completely against it, because that's what companies do, that's what businesses do, is that they're supposed to seek money from their consumers. But yes, I would say personally that I have always leaned conservative and more so libertarian, though.
Well, we like to hear that. If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, you can send us a text at 573-319-1586. We're speaking to Daniela Pentsak. She is a field coordinator for Turning Point USA. You sent me a few stories the other day when we were talking about getting you back on the program. And one of these stories that caught me eye. Oh, it's like pirate speak here today. Was about the Canadian board that was threatening Dr. Jordan Peterson's license over tweets. What was your take on this story?
Yes, this is yet another attempt at censoring people that may speak their own truth when it comes to the like such as Jordan Peterson. As far as his messaging goes, I don't agree exactly with everything he says, but you can't deny the fact that he is speaking truth to a lot of these things that are happening. And this is just another attempt for progressives to militantly censor, I believe, and to uh, take voices away from people that really are spreading truth.
Do you think, Daniela, that the left really is upset about the fact that Dr. Jordan Peterson is giving hope to young men, a demographic that the left widely despises?
I think there is some truth to that, yes. As far as Jordan Peterson goes, he has been quite a strong voice for young men in the West for quite some time, and there is a lot of benefit to that. Society definitely, I would say, for the most part, discourages young men for promoting their masculinity, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And they do need a role model or someone to encourage that for them. And I can easily see that the progressive media and these establishments are trying to take the voice away from people that are trying to promote that.
And we've had conversations in the past about Andrew Tate and how he's really not the best role model for young men. But it sort of makes sense why young men grasp onto caricatures of masculinity like Andrew Tate because of the lack of good, proper, strong role models in our society. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely. Um, as far as young men go, I don't think that they're obviously when it comes to following people like Andrew Tate, that their intentions are ill or that it comes from a bad place. You have to go to the concept of tabula rasa, and what it is that they're a blank slate. They're just looking for somewhere where they can feel like they can express themselves in a positive way, and sometimes they will go down these pipelines where they will follow like people like Andrew Tate with these terrible reputations and backstories. Um, and sometimes they'll follow someone a little bit better, like Jordan Peterson, but it is definitely important, I think, in society to promote these ideas of masculinity in a positive light so they won't fall down these pipelines where they end up following people like Andrew Tate.
Tabula rasa, there's your master's degree showing there. That's Daniela Pentsak who's joined us right now talking about being a blank slate. You can send us a text at 573-319-1586. 1586. That's 573-319-1586. Another story that you sent me was this story about young teens who are struggling with obesity. This is a conversation we started yesterday. Struggling with obesity are being pushed to take advantage of surgery and of obesity medication at a much younger age. Your thoughts on this story, Daniela?
Yeah, as far as that goes, I think the answer is quite simple. And I think a lot of Americans can agree that when it comes to that, healthy diet, exercise, that's all it takes. I believe that in this day and age, we are relying too much on the medical industry and on big pharma to circumvent certain issues that really just have a simple solution in some cases. And I'm not against, obviously going to the doctor, taking your medicine, finding the right medicine for you. But at the same time, especially when it comes to children, we really need to take a step back and consider that there are alternatives that have been around for quite some time. In fact, all of human history. And sometimes when it comes to finding a solution, the simplest solution is the best one. And in this case, that is, go outside and play. A lot of young people today are stuck behind a screen, and that's what they're used to. And they don't really know that. Well, they probably know instinctively, but they're obviously heavily discouraged from people now to really just go outside and play. And I think people in my generation have done that. And so we're not quite as large. But in the future generations, I'm frankly worried for them because, as far as I can see, they're just not playing anymore outside. And it's really sometimes it's just as simple answer as that.
There it is. Go outside and touch grass. That's her advice for you
Yes.
there if you're getting fat, Danielle Pentsak. Is there anything else that you think that our listeners should know before we let you go, Daniela?
Well, we touched on quite a few topics today, but and I think I made my topic on the M&M story quite clear, and that we should be a little bit more conscious of these companies when they're, as far as their messaging goes, they don't care about anything they say in this progressive garbage. And I think the fact that a lot of Americans are becoming more in tune with that and understanding that, and we should be more conscious about what we consume, and whether that means supporting a business that disempowers young girls and boys in different countries, or the fact that, we could get too fat eating their products. We need to be a little bit more conscious of what we do.
There we go. Danielle Pentsak, field coordinator for Turning Point USA. I have to say, Daniela, I am extremely impressed with the quality of your reporting and your punditry here. Thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate you very much. Look forward to seeing you again next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Are you as impressed with Danielle Pentsak as I am? Wow, I think that she does a fantastic job here on the program. It's nice to see those young people getting out there and fighting for freedom. No, she does have a master's degree. Tabula rasa? What is that, Mexican or something? Yeah, I stole that joke from you, Chris Morrill, but why not? It's great. At least I gave you credit here on the show. All right, let's talk about the program. One last thing before we go. Male pattern baldness tied to, well, not eating M&Ms. Something else we'll discuss when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than
Well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian.
And always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
And what is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? You can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
It's me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist. Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins.
Good morning. Good morning. Austin Peterson here. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. I am so grateful for all of the supporters this morning. Brian Lewis, who stepped up, Elizabeth Fanning Press, Quest Fanning, Maria just recently joined the channel this morning as well. Let's give her a round of applause. When you become a monthly sponsor to the program, like Maria did just a few minutes ago, it helps us to build out my dream of creating a libertarian network. I want to get the judge his own show that starts right before mine. Wouldn't it be cool if we could find a way to get Danielle Pentsak, her own program as well, right? Hire more young people like that who believe in our message, get them out there fighting for freedom. It's time for us to have something like that, a libertarian daily wire. Judge Napolitano, Austin Peterson, Danielle Pentsak. Hell, I'll go out and hire Paul Curtman. We'll give everybody their own show and create a 24-hour Liberty News Network. Free markets, free minds, free people talking about freedom. I'm working hard to help make it happen, and I'm super grateful to you for your support. I couldn't have gotten to this point without you. Lear Capital wouldn't have happened without you in the beginning. All of your generous donations that you made. Edie Vogel stepped up, helped me to buy a camera. Then when my studio flooded and I lost the camera and I had to get some new ones, more of you stepped up and you made donations so that we could rebuild the studio. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Later today, I'll have another conversation with an ad agency. Maybe we'll be able to bring on even more sponsors. And if we do, and if it's big and if it's exciting, then we're going to continue to grow. I'm just really grateful for you. Can you have a 30-second segment? Wet farts poop says on Twitch. Absolutely, my friend. We've got those commercials during the breaks. That can be your 30-second segment. But you got to buy it, just like all the other advertisers. How about that? We appreciate you all very much. All right, one last story before we let you go. One last story. Tsinghua University, a new study out of Tsinghua. It's actually Tsinghua University in Beijing has found a link between sugary drinks and male pattern hair loss. Oh, great. Just what you wanted to hear today. Beverages ranging from soft drinks to artificially sweetened juices to energy drinks being some of the primary culprits. In short, it's depressing news. All the stuff that tastes really great may make you lose your hair. The paper was newly published in the journal Nutrients, and it's hardly the first time we've ever heard of the ill health effects of sugary drinks. Doctors have long suspected a link between excess sugar and hair loss. Yeah, it's true. But this study's wider lens examination of this connection is even more intriguing because the researchers at Tsinghua's School of Public Health anonymously surveyed 1,028 men between the ages of 18 and 45 on the Chinese mainland last year, asking them about their sweetened beverage intake and any health issues that they might be experiencing, if they smoked or drank, and if they were experiencing hair issues, and then a bunch of psychological questions as well. But the results were striking. Respondents with male pattern baldness, they found, were drinking an average of 4,200 milliliters a week. That's more than a gallon, or more than 2 of the 2-liter bottles of Pepsi you buy at the grocery stores, while respondents with full heads of hair drank just 2,500 milliliters, so less than half that. But Tsinghua researchers are hypothesizing the root cause of many of our problems with male pattern baldness could be sugary drinks' propensity to heighten our blood sugar. Diabetes studies have shown that heightened blood sugar levels appear to be associated with hair loss, and with sweet drinks are being a major risk factor for developing or worsening diabetes. This logic might hold up. So the research is preliminary. The paper's author notes that more study is needed, but it's intriguing and disturbing. Reason not to pound down too many sodas or Red Bulls. I have to say, it's something that we're going to have to keep an eye on, because I love my sugary drinks, to be honest. I don't know about you, but yeah, and I got the male pattern baldness going on. I don't know if I'm brave enough to pull my hair down and show it to you on the camera as it is, but I do look at you in the face every single day. All right, so what do we got to do before we say goodbye? We say Jamie Marie Pope, Quest Fanning, Robbie Theraman, Chris Morrill, I might repeat names: Maria, Brian Lewis, Jamie Marie Pope. We appreciate you all this morning. All of our friends over on the live stream who support the show. Brian Lewis, glad to have you here. You guys, you're amazing. One more round of applause for you, the live stream viewers. Have you liked the show? Did you like the stream yet on YouTube? Why not?
How dare you?
How could you not like the stream? You're going to give me
emotional damage.
I got to say, we are
led by very, very stupid people. Very, very stupid people.
Don't be stupid, people. Listen to Donald Trump and like that stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will be seeing you, I guess, tomorrow morning. Yeah. Brian Lewis, good to see you, brother. I had a good friend that I grew up with who lived next door to me. His name was Brian Lewis. It's a good name. Got a very positive association with that name. When he reads the name, I like to pretend he's just reading a leaked watch list. Chris Morrill, if anybody's on it, it's you. That's for sure. Thanks, Quest. I appreciate you very much. He switched to beer instead of soda. You must be fine. There you are. Hey, Stephen Wolf. thank you for your support as well. All right, gotta run. We'll see you tomorrow morning on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today. Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit apforlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.